So you're thinking about running, but not sure how to take the first step. My name is Brian Patterson, and I'm here to help. Welcome to Brian's Run Pod. Hi, welcome to Brian's Run Pod, and it's me, Brian Patterson. I'm your host of Brian's Run Pod, and today's episode, let's talk about what running means in other communities. So I was kind of scrabbling around about what to talk about this week, and I thought, well, what does running mean to other communities all over the world? So I thought that might be a good thing. So what we're going to be looking at in terms of looking over the show notes, what is it that why is it the Kenyans are so good at running? Why are the Finns so good at running as well? I remember growing up and watching Lassie Viren at the 1972 and 76 Olympics. And also going back over the years, the Finns have been brilliant at running in the 1920s. And so I just wanted to dig a little deeper as to why that is. So the other things we'll be looking at to explore the cross-cultural experiences and races abroad, from quirky races in Belgium to a marathon in Rwanda aimed at demonstrating the solidarity and progress since genocide. We'll examine the role of running in Native American cultures, where it has been integral for millennia, connecting individuals to landscape, serving as a spiritual exercise, and even raising awareness for pressing issues. We'll also consider some cultures where running is a way of life, essential to survival, deeply ingrained in the hearts of natives, like the marathon monks of Mount Hai in Japan. And that's an incredible story. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I know running in different parts of the world, and we've talked about park runs and marathons, right? Well, today we're seeing the rise in popularity of ultramarathons, but here's the thing, running might mean different things in other parts of the world. We usually think of running as a way to stay healthy, both physically and mentally. And I've talked about the benefits of running on this podcast countless times, mentally and physically. And I've even had the chance to meet some amazing guests who've shared how running has positively impacted their lives. So let's take a look at some areas. I mean, this is kind of a little bit of a flavour of what are the areas I'll be looking at. Mount Hai in Japan. Now, I just couldn't believe this particular story, and I'll probably put a link in the show notes about this. The marathon monks, these monks known as Goya, undertake incredible feats of endurance. They embark on a journey called the Cuyahoga, circling a mountain in demanding physical rituals. Again, I do apologize for completely destroying the names there. So demanding physical rituals. Clad in simple attire, they cover approximately 50 kilometers daily, which is the equivalent of a marathon, dedicating themselves to meditation and physical rigor, completing this for 100 to 700 or even 1,000 days. That's amazing. Following hundreds of days of running, they commence a fast, spending 9 days in a meditation position without any intake. Only 46 men have completed this 1,000-day quest. So running is a form of moving meditation where they focus on the present moment with each step. Kenyan, Mexico, Tarahumara, also known as Raramuri, or running people, they choose running as a way of life. Dwelling on the isolated Copper Canyon for Tarahumara, running is an integral to their existence. They navigate the rugged terrain, sometimes without the assurance of water, and compete in unique games that span distances over 50 miles. They run minimal footwear, demonstrating an efficient design refined over centuries while modernization poses a threat, their spirit endures. In Kenya, as we have just said, that the land of runners, running is a deeply ingrained in Kenyan culture. Although the Maasai no longer rely on running for hunting, running is a source of national pride and a path to success, something that we're going to be talking about later on. The Bushmen of the Kalahari, these hunter-gatherers rely on running for survival, literally running animals to death. They work as a group to herd animals over long distances with the animals cannot continue. These cultures remind us that running can be more than just exercise. It can be a spiritual journey as a means of survival and a way to connect with our heritage. Now let's have a look at a couple of countries that are famous for their runners. As I've said about the Kenyans, why are they such good runners? It's a question that has fascinated sports enthusiasts for years. Is it nature, nurture, or something else entirely? Some Kenyans believe it's simply in their nature. But let's dive deeper. The Kalenjin factor, while Kenya is known for its runners, the Kalenjin ethnic group, making up for 12% of the population, produces the majority of the country's athletic champions. That's a tiny fraction of the world's population, 0.06, producing record breakers. The altitude advantage. You get many Olympic marathon runners going to Kenya or that part of the world for altitude training. So the many Kalenjin people live in the Rift Valley, which is about 2,400 meters above sea level. At that altitude, the body compensates for thinner oxygen by producing more red blood cells, which helps muscles get oxygen faster. But if altitude is a key, why aren't there more top runners from many mountainous countries? So I know what happens is that when you do come to sea level, then because you've got more red blood cells, it makes your endurance is a lot better. Genes and body type. There's speculation about the running gene, but it's never been proven. However, top runners often have low body mass index and a light build, and Kenyan runners tend to have longer legs, lighter bones compared to the European counterparts, giving them an energy-saving advantage. Diet and lifestyle. The traditional Kenyan diet featuring ugali, a cornmeal porridge, leafy greens and beans, is high in carbohydrates and low in fats, so producing a good source of energy. The culture of running. In Kenya, athletes are celebrities. Many children grow up aspiring to be like them, jogging to school with dreams of Olympic gold, and running is ingrained in the culture with a winning mentality. And it's very much the same in Jamaica, where running or sprinting is very much ingrained in their culture. It's like a national sport. It's bigger than football.
Let's take a quick break.
Hi, Brian and Brian's Runboard listeners. I'm Merrily, author of Just Run. Just Run is the perfect gift for every runner or anyone thinking about starting running in 2025. In my book, I share my journey from barely hitting 3,000 steps a day to becoming an ultra runner in just a few years. A few months ago, I completed my first 100-mile race. Just Run is packed with practical tips for beginner runners. Running is for everyone. You don't have to be fast to go far. You just need to run your own way. That's what Just Run is all about. You can grab your copy on Amazon, including on Kindle Unlimited, or get a signed copy from my website, merrilyruns.co.uk. Feel free to reach out to me on my website or through my socials at merrilyruns.
Hey, this is Andrea, popping up from Sydney, Australia to say hello and to thank Brian for creating a forum which is so beneficial for those of us who are seeking a richer experience of running. If you're like me, you probably run for a host of reasons. These might include time alone, mental health, personal accomplishments, or maybe reclaiming a sense of self, possibly for the first time in a long time. And you might have noticed that the narrative around running is also changing. Until recent years, you probably mostly heard it talked about through the lens of metrics. Things like getting faster, getting stronger, getting thinner, getting better, getting a spot on the podium. But thanks to voices like Brian's, more and more we're starting to think about running as a means to becoming a better person, to enjoying the morning, to achieving a fundraising goal, or maybe just making yourself proud. And if that sounds like you and you're interested in getting some coaching support for whatever your running journey looks like, I invite you to take a look at Run with the Slow Coach. I host a global coaching community for older, slower, bigger, injured, and back-of-the-pack runners. I'm fully accredited through Athletics Australia. I'm endorsed by the Australian Trail and Ultra Runners Association. And in 2023, I won a local business award for the most outstanding fitness service. I coach online and I promise to keep you accountable because I know what it takes to start a running journey, especially if you're not talented or you haven't been active your whole life. And I believe that runners like us deserve all the science, all the rigor, all the empathy, and especially all the support to safely progress to whatever your finish line looks like. And I'm really here for that. So find out more by following me on socials at Run with the Slow Coach or visit runwiththeslowcoach.com. I really am passionate about the life-changing benefits of being active. And I'm grateful to Brian for everything he does in this space. And now, back to you. Thanks so much.
Where sometimes, you'll get these national championships taking place and you get a massive media focus. And I think that really helps. And you think of all the, Usain Bolt from Jamaica and some of many other famous sprinters. And I think that's because it's ingrained in the culture and it's been made so popular. That really helps. I remember thinking about Brendan Foster, who came from the Northeast, and he was kind of like the Pied Piper of middle or long distance running in the 1970s. And he really got a running culture going. So that's a small example of what happened over here. Then we have the Finnish runners. I remember growing up in the 70s, I was an avid watcher of the Olympics. One of my heroes was distance running, was Lassie Viren. Now, I think I may have done an episode about him before. Anyway, I did wonder, why is it that Finns have such a rich history in running? This small country with a population of approximately 5 million stood at the forefront of long-distance running for decades, whether a track, cross-country or road. Before World War II, Finnish runners won every Olympic 10,000 metre except one. And between 1920 and 1936, they had won almost every other middle and long-distance event in the Games as well. Paavo Nurmi won 9 Olympic gold medals and set countless world records, putting a new spin on the term the Roaring Twenties. During the decade, the Finns ruled the European racing circuit and sent many runners to the US, with the likes of Willi Ritola, was a runner-up to Clarence DeMar in the 1922 Boston Marathon. And I'll put a link in the show notes as to an article about that. An article in Runner's World said that Finding Sisu explores the concept of sisu, a Finnish term for guts or spirit, through the lens of the legendary Finnish runner Lassie Viren and the history of Finnish distance running dominance. The author embarks on a quest to understand sisu, interviewing Viren and delving into the factors that contributed to Finland's success in the sport. Key aspects of the article: Lassie Viren's legacy. Viren is celebrated for his unprecedented achievements in winning the 5,000 and 10,000 gold medals in 2 consecutive Olympics. And despite facing scrutiny and high expectations, Viren's modesty and accomplishments embodied the Finnish spirit. The Flying Finns. Before the World War II, Finnish runners, as I've just said, dominated long-distance running, with Paavo Nurmi winning 9 Olympic gold medals And after a drought, the nation rebuilt its talent, exemplified by Olave Sunulamin, who, despite winning the 1972 Boston Marathon, was left off the Olympic team to make a space for Viren. Sisu and Finnish culture. Sisu is described as the key component of the Finnish identity, demonstrated by the nation's runners and their understated approach to victory. The Finns' ability to endure pain, such as in the sauna, in another example of sisu in action. Viren's training. Viren's success attributed to his coach by Rov Heikkila, who combined various training methods. Viren also experimented with altitude training in Kenya, would you believe, and Colombia. And sources of sisu. Viren believes that Finland's sisu stems from its relationship with Russia and Sweden. The rivalry with Sweden in athletics and the tension with Russia have motivated Finnish runners. Sisu lost? Well, Viren suggests that Finnish runners today lack the drive of past generations, partly due to modern distractions. The author questions whether sisu can be replicated or passed down, suggesting it may arise individually through hard work, modesty, and competition. So that's just one aspect of how Lassi Viren chose this term in finding sisu to help with this training and give this kind of, I don't know, how would you describe it, being a kind of form of how he would embody his training, a kind of philosophy of his training. I think that's the word I'm looking for. So basically, he gave him the motivation to being the number one in the world. I think it was in 1972, I think the 5,000 meters where he fell over and then he ran to the front, and is either the 5 or 10,000 meters. And so incredible determination. I think he may have been a math student, or he ran a certain way on the track where he kind of reduced the distance. I'd have to look that up and give you a link in the show notes to it. But no stone was not unturned. Was unturned. He basically, it was about small gains, and it was about making the most of how he could improve his technique, and nothing was left to chance. Cross-culture running. Now, in a recent article, there were some journalists who found that there have been different reactions to running. Cross-cultural running experiences can bridge the cultural divides and provide unique experiences. Jonathan Beverley moved to Brussels and used running to explore the city, join a local running club, and appreciate the Belgian culture and running scene. I mean, I know that whenever I've gone on holiday, it's a great excuse to explore and to feel that you're energized about your running. However, just make sure that you tell someone where you're going, and also make sure that it's safe. I know when I was running in France, once it was in the middle of the culling season for wild boar. And I just think personally, it gives you a new running route in your Strava or whichever app you map it to. And also it means that you just feel that it just gives you much more energy for your run, and you can do different kind of training sessions. In another example, Matthew Chico and his wife moved to Rwanda to work, and he found that running made him more approachable to the locals. Rwandans were more curious about why he ran, and often suggesting that he get a car instead. A little bit of a backstory to Rwanda, and Chico experienced differences in the marathon route. He said, with no great exposition about the excitement in the air, the marathon course was basically a 10K circuit. So I think marathon is 40 kilometers, so you had to go around there 4 times. And there was a range of footwear on display among the participants. He also noted the generosity of Rwandans in the wake of the genocide, where people were opening up their homes to orphans, which were paled in comparison to probably other cultures. So in the wake of the genocide, thousands and thousands of children were orphaned, a generation of youngsters. So Tutsi and Hutu both Could have been lost to the streets, but had survivors and returned exiles not opened up their homes, and they did. Faye Berger ran a 10K in Mexico and encountered very cultural differences such as gender inequality in race categories, and only 2 women's categories she found, which was the under 35s and then the over 35s. And the cash prizes were quite sizable for such a small race, but were more geared for the men. So back home, of course, there's a women. She noted that there was a women's 50 to 59 category, was not only alive and well, but very competitive. So I decided that age group or not, she says that it was time for women of the world over, any age group, to step up to the line. Yet another concern nagged her on a very primal level, and I'm embarrassed to say that what about the pre-race restroom facilities? In all my years travelling Mexico, restrooms were always limited, to say the least, and never once had I seen a potty or a porta cabin. How would I cope without the comfort of such facilities at the start? Berger also dealt with limited restroom facilities and a water stop whenever water was provided in the baggies instead of the cups. Despite challenges, she felt a sense of connection and a common bond with the local culture through running. That sort of transitions very nicely to celebrating diversity and inclusivity in running, which I think is becoming more prevalent the world over. So running has an incredible ability to unite people. However, the running world hasn't always been welcome to everyone. Embracing diversity brings different ages, genders, races, abilities, and socioeconomic backgrounds together. These runners can bring diverse perspectives, experiences, and insights, and that can inspire, motivate, and challenge one another. This makes running much more dynamic and engaging, allowing everyone to find their place. But achieving diversity and inclusivity isn't easy. Unconscious biases, systemic barriers, lack of representation can exclude certain groups. And we need to address these issues head on, creating safe spaces where everyone feels valued, respected, and empowered. This involves examining our biases, offering diversity and inclusive training for running group leaders, encouraging open conversations, and amplifying diverse voices. What actions can running communities take? We can ensure physical and logistical aspects of running events are accessible to all abilities and backgrounds. This includes childcare, transportation, inclusive marketing materials. Running groups catering to specific demographics like women, LGBTQ plus individuals, or people with disabilities. Host inclusive events and races with diverse representation among organisers. Volunteers and participants. Actively invite and support diverse runners through targeted outreach and mentorship programs. A diverse and inclusive running community offers many benefits. Runners feel more welcomed, accepted, improving self-esteem, reducing stress, sharing ideas and experiences leads to personal growth and a deeper understanding of others. Diverse communities can foster social harmony, increase civic engagement, and build community resilience. So how can people get involved? Join a local running group promoting inclusivity. Find running buddies who share your commitment to diversity. Participate in running events that celebrate diversity. There are many examples of inclusive running communities. Women's running groups like Black Girls Run and Latina Girls Run empower unrepresented women. Beginner-friendly clubs such as the Couch to 5K program, making running accessible to newcomers. Running clubs like Achilles International support people with disabilities. Online communities, virtual races, connect runners from diverse backgrounds. There are resources available to help build inclusivity running communities, and these include running club membership programs, community support organisations such as running platforms, and running camps. Remember, diversity and inclusivity create vibrant and supportive running communities. By celebrating the unique experiences of all runners, we can build a sport that is truly welcoming. And let's commit to fostering greater diversity and inclusivity through our actions, advocacy, and passion for running, creating a more equitable future for the sport. And I can only say that basically, although I did talk about initially different communities, different countries that have fostered running from a very elite level to, for instance, talking about Kenya and Finland, and I'm sure there are other parts of the world which have fostered great runners that have succeeded in an Olympic and at world championship level. But at the same time, I feel it's all about getting we as individuals to take up running, to feel the benefits of running from a mental and physical point of view, and to obviously to feel better about about ourselves. These days, there's a lot of stress in terms of from online, from what's happening at work, family, and to, let's say, use running as a way of therapy to be, and also to be, if running can be more inclusive, you don't have to have the best equipment, the best shoes. It's just about getting out the door and running safely, as I've said. Little bit sort of not haphazard, this particular podcast. Basically, it was just more about talking about different communities around the world, but also at the same time, let's not forget what is the root of why we're doing this fantastic sport, and to get everyone engaged. Again, it's not for everyone. I know some people don't particularly like running, and they may like to do various other sports. It's all about whatever you enjoy and about moving. But if you enjoyed this particular podcast, please like and subscribe on whatever you get the podcast. But as I said, we'll be. I hope to see you next week, and just want to say thank you for listening and goodbye. And that's a wrap for another exhilarating episode of Brian's Run Pod. Thanks for tuning in, folks. As always, we've got your back with all things running, and next week, get ready for some more awesome beginner hints and tips to kickstart your running journey. Don't forget, you can now send me a message. Yep, you heard it right. Brian's Run Pod has now become interactive with the audience. If you look at the top of the episode description, tap on Send Us a Text Message. You can now tell me what you think of the episode, or alternatively, what you would like covered. If you're lucky, I might even read them out on the podcast. Hey, if you want to keep up with all the latest updates, behind the scenes fun, and even some exclusive content, make sure to follow me on social media. We've also launched a shiny new Facebook page. Just simply search for Brian's Run Pod and give us a like. And don't forget to hop over to Instagram, where you can catch all our visual adventures at Brian's Run Pod. For those of you who love diving deep into the episodes, head over to our website, www.briansrunpod.co.uk, and there you'll find some detailed show notes and handy chapter markers, making it easy to navigate through your favourite discussions. Please leave a review, as it will help others find this podcast. Music is by Happy Day by Stock Audio, not forgetting artwork by Alice Patterson, and also thank you to my producer, Anna Patterson. So, till next week, thanks again for listening.